We hope you're looking forward to today's qualifying in Hungary as much as we are. We think it's going to be a cracker.
Thanks very much, Crofty, and welcome guys to F1 2017 Career Mode. This is the Hungarian Grand Prix. Apologies about a lengthy break between episodes. This is becoming too much of a habit. But yeah, we're back finally, and hopefully this can be the last race where we indeed struggle to get out of qualifying one and just struggle when it comes to being in the lower end of the midfield. As you guys know, there are a lot of upgrades coming for the next episode in Belgium, so I highly recommend you go check that one out once it does drop. But even in today's episode, I feel like we might see a little bit of a return to form, given that Hungary is a very slow-speed circuit, very twisty, a few slow-speed corners as well, especially that third sector, which might help us out. So I'm hoping that we can be a little bit more competitive than what we have shown in previous episodes. So yeah, as you can see, qualifying 1, 11th place. The lap wasn't great. Alonso doing quite well up there inside the top 10. So yeah, for whatever reason, Alonso has finally found his mojo. And I'm not going to lie, I've been exploring the Codemasters forums a lot in the last few days, and I have kind of sussed out this problem that has been happening with Fernando Alonso. It turns out there's been a glitch. His engine upgrades have not been applying to his car, and that is why he has been so darn slow so far in this career mode. So that's something I kind of picked up on, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But now that I've read other, players, opinions from their career modes, and it's definitely the case. Alonso just isn't getting upgrades, so hopefully in the next patch or something like that, Alonso can be near enough to our pace. But in saying that, here in Hungary, he's actually topping us, 14th place. Maybe because this is Hungary and straight line speed isn't that much of a factor around here, he's coming more into the fray here because yeah, like I said, engine doesn't really come into it. I believe with the glitch with Alonso, all the other upgrades apply to his car. It's just the engine one, so it's very similar to the problem that we had in the first season where none of the engine upgrades were applying to our car. It seems that Cody's might have missed the trick there by not applying that for Alonso as well, which is a little bit weird that you'd missed that one. But yeah, so far, qualifying 1, we started our final run there. We got held up by Nico Hulkenberg, who came out of the pits at the start of that lap, so we abandoned that and we carried on to this next lap where we were able to recover the tyres, save enough fuel to do another run. And you can see we're up by 2.5, maybe 3 tenths, and the engineer says Alonso is in P10. We improved to P16, I think it was. And as you guys know, in F1 2017 qualifying, 16th place is not good enough to get yourself out of qualifying 1. So once again, we have been knocked out in this session. Now, if it wasn't for Alonso being competitive this race, we probably would have made it through, but that isn't the case. Hopefully, for Fernando's sake, he can go on to qualifying 2, maybe even qualifying 3, if he puts in a really solid lap there. But yeah, for me, the pace just wasn't there. I wasn't in the groove around this track, and to be honest, I was just slow. Turns out Hungary might be a bit of a bogey track for me, but that's qualifying. Time for the race. Let's see how we do.
We've seen some astonishing Grand Prix here over the years, haven't we? The drama of 2015 is a recent example. Jenson Button's first win on a wet track in 2006, or in 1997, Damon Hill's heartbreak in the Arrows after a late gearbox failure cost him what would have been the team's only ever victory. What a wonderful place this is to come racing today.
Okay, you've qualified higher than we expected, so let's try to build on this position throughout the race.
So here we are then, on the grid of the Hungarian Grand Prix. No, I do not like that strategy. Let's go off the mediums. We'll stick with the one stop. We'll start on the supers though. If we start on the mediums, our pace is going to be nowhere. We won't make any progress, especially in this slower McLaren. I like to be on at least one of the 2 softer compounds available to us. But we're starting from 14th place on the grid today. A couple of people getting grid penalties, not entirely sure who they were. There is a Ferrari or 2 down the order. I believe it is Sebastian Vettel. So if we can get off to a flying start, no, it's Kimi Raikkonen, of course. Of course I get it wrong. If we get off to a flying start, then we could see ourselves in front of that Ferrari, and that would be absolutely golden for us in trying to get through the field. We could use Raikkonen as a tool to cut through the traffic, as it were. But yeah, track position today is going to be absolutely crucial. Really hard to overtake around here, and especially with our upgrades on the car, if we get track position, we'll more than likely keep it. Away we go for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Okay start. Magnussen got probably the best start out of anyone immediately around us, and he immediately makes his way through the order. Alonso is on the inside there. We'll try and follow our teammate through. I don't really want to overtake him. He gets up the inside of Raikkonen, which has been a great start for Alonso. I'm going to try and slide up his inside if I can as well. He's getting boxed in behind Magnussen, and we take full advantage of that. That's P12 for us. If Magnussen gets hung out to dry by our teammate, we could grab him too, but unfortunately that is not the case. So P12, net gain of 2 positions. Magnussen looks aggressive around the outside of Alonso into the fast left-hander, and he's got him. I actually thought Alonso would have hung him out to dry a little bit better than that, but yeah, Alonso not quite as aggressive on this start as what I thought he would be, and he has lost out of position to the Haas driver, and he's now given up a points-paying position, which could prove pretty crucial for us in this race. Lap 2 now, you can see Kimi Raikkonen right on the back of us. It's very important to keep him behind. After the events of Monaco, I now have this confidence, this added confidence that I can keep the front runners behind us, and that's exactly what I'm going to try and do today, especially at a track like Hungary, where, like I said, overtaking doesn't really come naturally, especially, you know, everywhere else apart from like this start-finish straight. If we can just be a wise to Raikkonen, who gives us a touch through turn 1, cheers for that. It wasn't fully alongside, so that's why I kind of cut him off there, but yeah, if we just get a really nice exit off the final corner, use rich revs, go really late on the brakes into turn 1, we should be able to hold on to position. But it's just going to be about being very disciplined in that third sector, especially just to make sure that we don't lose time. Raikkonen has a massive lockup, speaking of losing time. Gives up a spot to Grosjean and, I believe, Lance Stroll. So it's not been a great start for the Flying Finn at this stage. Lap 5, we're catching up to Alonso. Once again, we found our rhythm now that Raikkonen stopped attacking us. You know, every time that Raikkonen would have an attempt on us, it would kind of cost us a little bit of time, and I'd lose ground to Alonso. But now I can focus on the cars in front of me. I can keep my eyes forward and really concentrate on the job that I'm trying to get on with at the moment. But in saying that, Grosjean is closing me up as well. He's not quite close enough to have a lunge there into turn 1. Alonso a little bit slow on the brakes into turn 1 as well. So we go as late as we dare into some of these braking zones, but we can't really do much else with it at this stage. It's a bit of a stalemate. We've got Magnussen right in front of Alonso, and in front of him, I believe, we have Magnussen still in the Haas, but there's nothing really much we can do.
We'll be doing one more stop today. One stop left in our strategy. Pit window opens in 5 laps time. 5 laps.
So looking at the strategy, there's still like a really long time before we can actually dive into the pits and do the one stop. I was, you know, just inquiring with Jeff because I was feeling like I was getting held up here, and I thought it might be worth taking myself out of this traffic, getting the undercut, but we may not make it to the end on the set of softs that we need to get to the end with. But we see Sebastian Vettel come out of the pits right alongside Kevin Magnussen. Unfortunately for his sake, he can't get back in front of him, and that might prove very costly for his races. He settles into things halfway through the lap, and he's actually lost a little bit of time to Magnussen, which is really puzzling. I'm not too sure if he lost a front wing or something like that, but the fact that he wasn't all over Magnussen halfway through the lap suggests to me that maybe he's just backing off and cooling off and saving lean revs. And if that's the case, and he's not too, you know, motivated towards getting back through the field and creating a bit of a gap to us, we might be able to overtake him by the end of the race if he doesn't make up too much ground on us. So that's why I think this one stop today could prove pretty beneficial to us and Alonso, who I believe is also doing the one stop with us too. But at this stage, we're coming to the end of the first stint. I'm starting to lose touch with Alonso. I'm now under pressure from Jolyon Palmer, who's overtaking me around the outside, fresh out of the pits. That is, I believe, Verstappen overtaking Vettel, who just emerged behind him a lap or two ago as well. But lap 13 now, we've had enough of this tyre stint. We're coming in 1 lap earlier, I believe, than our recommended pit stop window. But I feel like the undercut is worth it. We're going to get the undercut on Alonso. Very surprised that he hasn't come in as of yet. So McLaren giving us preference in this race, despite being behind our teammate at this stage, which, you know, I won't complain about. Pit stop time, we go onto the mediums. A little bit hesitant with the rejoining in the fast lane there, but I don't think it's cost us all too much time. We re-emerged just behind Grosjean, so a bit of a net loss there to the Haas driver. But overall, we should be able to beat him in this race because he's doing a 2-stop. He's just gone onto the supers again. But on the next lap, Alonso is coming in and he's going to be fitting onto the mediums himself. So this is going to be a really interesting battle to see if we rejoin in front of Alonso. I've been pushing a little bit on this lap, but in all honesty, I didn't feel much grip in the tyres. They felt very cold and they weren't really confidence inspiring. So it wouldn't surprise me, in all honesty, if Alonso rejoins in front of us once he makes his stop. I was slow in getting out of the box as well, so it wouldn't surprise me. As we rejoin on the track, Alonso is, yeah, a few seconds up the road. So, yeah, for Alonso, his race is looking pretty good versus mine. Fresher tyres by 1 lap and also a few seconds up the road, and in doing so, we've lost a position to Palmer. We completely run off the track there. That was just lazy. So I'm not really driving that well today, it must be said. I'm trying my best, it must be said, but I just can't match my teammate, which is something I haven't really said all too much this season. Daniel Ricciardo, once again, is out of a race. Engine failure once again. He is honestly having the worst luck this season. It's guys like Ricciardo and Alonso who just, you know, can't catch a break. But again, we see another driver retire. That was Valtteri Bottas. That didn't come up on the screen, so that was a bit of a surprise to me, and I was actually hoping for a safety car to emerge here on lap 18. We cut 5 laps longer on, and Sainz overtakes us, so that means there was no safety car, and we just have to brave it out on these medium tyres to the end of the race. But in all honesty, if there would have been a safety car, I would have been really tempted to dive back into the pits and fit on the super soft tyres to run to the end of the race, because I didn't have pace on these mediums. They were consistent, but they just weren't confidence inspiring. There wasn't that much grip in the tyres, which made me feel like I didn't really have a lot to play with in this race. But we can see Sainz closing up on us again at the end of the start-finish straight. The power unit is coming to the midway point of its life, but Alonso now is having to defend from Danny Kvyat, who is fighting over effective P6 in this race. So very important for Alonso to, you know, retain any kind of track position he gets now, because he won't be stopping for the rest of this race. And we're going to see quite a few of the front runners, both the Ferraris, both the Red Bulls, all diving into the pits and potentially rejoining behind Alonso. So any positions he gets now are absolutely golden for his championship. He's got no points, and today he really needs to stand up and be counted. Meanwhile, almost 3 wide for us going into turn 1. I go really late under brakes to try and get a nice and square exit and get past both Sainz and I think this is Magnussen. I kind of, you know, went in a little bit too deep there into Sainz's line, but it was just clean enough, and Sainz was the massive loser out of that. Magnussen's lining up his inside as well, so we hold on to, I think it was 12th place at the time. It's hard to keep track of what's going on right now. There's a lot of drivers diving into the pits, a lot of battles going on at the same time, trying to figure out what Alonso's doing with his race. You can see him having to defend, you know, from the other Toro Rosso driver. This is us now defending from Vettel. He goes to the outside through the fast left-hander, really, really deep for Sebastian Vettel there, possibly too deep into that corner. He almost got the move done, but wasn't quite there to be. But we completely made a massive mistake into the next right-hander. Vettel goes round the outside into the first chicane, can't quite get the move done, and he loses a spot to Magnussen in the process, being very, very aggressive in that phase of the Grand Prix. Gives us a little bit of a squeeze onto the ripple strip. Almost worked for him though. We just had to take a really deep lunge under brakes into the chicane for us to get back in front of Vettel, and that was a really satisfying, you know, battle to emerge on top of a Ferrari, works Ferrari driver there, and hold on to that position. But yeah, with that, Vettel just lost too much momentum and left way too much space at the second half of that chicane. The side-by-side action could have actually continued on a little bit further, but this is Danny Kvyat going around the outside of Alonso again for the second time in this race. He hasn't been as aggressive as what he should be, and he's lost another position at that exact same corner. So Alonso drops to, I think, P7, effective P7 now in this race as there's 7 laps to go. I'm doing my absolute best to keep Magnussen behind, and Vettel too, and this is not only just for my race, this is for Alonso's race too. He's trying to hold on to P7, so I'm doing absolutely everything I can as a bit of a rear gunner to protect Alonso in these dying laps of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Had to go really late under brakes once again into turn 1. My brakes are going to be absolutely screaming by the end of this race. They're going to be put through so much torture. But meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton, the leader of this race, he is making his way through the order, and he's caught his way onto the back of this train that is, you know, built on the back of my car. I've got an absolute Daly train here. But lap 30 now, 5 laps to go in this Hungarian Grand Prix, possibly 4 laps depending if we get lapped or not, having to go really defensive under brakes. Once again, it's the same old story just about every time. Unless the AI run in standard revs, we're pretty much having to run side by side at the end of the back straight. But every time, you know, Lewis goes through your sector, he overtakes 1 or 2 more cars in that train and gets ever closer to us. So I'm hoping for us that we won't go a lap down, and maybe the guys behind us will go a lap down, but no, that's definitely not going to be the case. Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari, the championship challenger, has now gone a lap down in this race. I never thought I'd see a Ferrari get lapped in this career mode series, but here we are through the final corner. We're going to let Lewis go through as well, try and nick a little bit of his slipstream as well and rejoin in the race. But with that whole, you know, lapping and blue flag scenarios, I was hoping to gain a little bit of time over the guys behind me. Turns out it has not worked. Sebastian Vettel flies up our inside, 3 wide into turn 1. Let's see if we can get Sebastian Vettel around the outside into turn 1, which we do manage to do, but we just don't have the same traction that Sebastian Vettel does through turn 2. Again, the battle carries on through to turn 4, and we just emerge in front of Sebastian Vettel. This time we don't make a mistake into that crucial right-hander, and we do retain the lead of that absolutely ginormous train as we head through the middle sector. That's a bit of a replay on board with Magnussen. It was too wide for a lot of those guys through there, but the battle continues to the 3rd sector. Sebastian Vettel to the outside through the penultimate corner, and this time I think he might get me. He's got the inside for the final corner now with fresher tyres, the softer compound as well. I don't see us really putting up too much of a fight, so it's P9 for us in this Hungarian Grand Prix. I've done all I can for Fernando, but now it's down to him to try and hold off Vettel for the next lap and a half in this Hungarian Grand Prix. There is a massive gap, but you never know with a McLaren Honda and you know, the unlocked pace of that Ferrari in clean air. You never know what that car could be capable of. But anyway, side by side with I think that's Ocon through turn 2. We still hold on to P9 ever so slightly, and hopefully that can be the last of that battle. Sebastian Vettel, as you can see, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. 3 seconds faster, so depending on how this final lap goes, he might be putting on pressure with Fernando. But again, to the inside, into turn 1, we get P9 back from Ocon. Straight line speed still isn't that great.
So yeah, that is massively frustrating. I think we really had a good chance of a good result then.
No, are you serious? Like literally, last lap of the Grand Prix, and this is so typical of this team. Failure on the last lap of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso is out of the race and will not be scoring any points in today's race. That is so typical. In the one race where he was actually doing well and was set to score his first points of the season, that happens. I just can't believe it. I mean, you couldn't script this stuff, but either way, for us, we're going to hold on to P8s. We've gained an extra 2 points by Fernando retiring from this race, but, you know, the gain has come at what cost?
Great drive, great drive. We're really happy with that performance.
Of things we know.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting sick of seeing Mercedes winning all these career mode races. That has been the Hungarian Grand Prix. I just can't believe it. We almost dedicated most of our race to keeping Fernando Alonso in the position he was, 7th place, with a few corners to go, literally just half a lap, he retires, and I'm not even going to lie here guys, on the lowdown, I did many flashbacks, and still, we got the same result, Fernando Alonso retiring, no points, and that is just absolutely going to kill us in the Constructors' fight, which, as you guys know, we are desperately trying to cling on to 4th in the Constructors' standings, but with a bad result like that, I just don't see us holding on to that position. It is, in fact, us dropping down to 6th place, so losing a spot to Williams, losing a spot to Toro Rosso, and almost getting overtaken by Force India in the process. So with Alonso getting, what, 6 points for 7th place, that would have really made a big difference for us, you know, going forward into future races. Like, honestly, I'm kind of fed up with, you know, a lot of things in this career mode. You know, the lack of pace from Fernando, one of them, and just the retirement. It just had to come at the race where Fernando was looking his absolute strongest so far in the, 30 episodes we've seen so far. He was looking so good. As well in Monaco, he was really strong there, but for whatever reason just didn't get the results. But yeah, I really hope this glitch gets resolved soon, because I need a competitive teammate. I can't keep flying the flag for McLaren and expect to, you know, be doing too well in the constructors like I am. But you know, it is what it is. At least we got 2 extra points with Fernando retiring, but you know, at what cost? We may lose some valuable positions in the constructors because of that. But guys, that has been this episode for today. I don't want to end on too much of a somber note, but it was a pretty good race. In the end, what was it, 4 points? You know, pretty good result for the team. You know, still not where we want to be. You know, we want to be best of the rest when it comes to some of these races so far, given where the car is at this stage. But going forward into future episodes, I can honestly say that this is probably going to be the worst it's going to get now that we have, you know, massive downforce upgrades. We have the engine coming through with the ultimate upgrade next race. So I'd hazard a guess to say that these kind of, you know, really struggly kind of races are going to be hopefully a thing of the past, especially once we get that boost in performance by Cody's with the update in performance, hopefully, and also with the end of season boost in resource points as well. We should be able to vault up the order even further. But guys, that has been this episode for today. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2017 videos. Until the next race, the Belgian Grand Prix, let's hope for a miracle and just hope that that upgrade actually does go on the car, because if it doesn't, I'm going to be inconsolable. Until then, guys, I'll see you next time.